Welcome to the Sapphire Sessions podcast, where we talk about all things luxury, lifestyle, life as woman, and so much more. Chatting with guests, friends, and other pretty cool people. Tune in and come hang out with us for a bit. And now, your host of Sapphire Sessions, Miss Nico Sapphire.
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of Sapphire Sessions. Now, this is an exciting one because it is our very first episode in my home studio with my new Rodecaster Pro. So I think we're going to call these some little sit-down Sapphire Sessions. So today I'm just chilling on the floor of my living room with one of my favorite people on the planet, my best friend, Kayla K, everybody. How are we feeling today, Kayla?
I'm feeling great, my girl. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course.
I feel honored to be a part of the first one. This is exciting.
Yeah. It's very exciting. All right. So today we're going to get into several different things. Now we're calling this episode Getting Real and Getting Inspired because, it's just hard to feel inspired sometimes these days, right?
I feel you, girl.
I mean, we talk about this all the time. We're on our summer break, right? And all we want to do is nothing, but also make the most of our time off, right? Tap into our creativity and do the things we normally wouldn't have as much time for during the semester. So on this episode, we're going to get into all that.
I love it.
First, I want to start off by letting my girl here introduce herself and tell everybody, just where you want to go in life, what feeds your soul, what really makes you feel on top of the world today.
Girl, we might be here all year then.
Oh, man.
Well,
That's okay. We got time.
Oh, God. Well, for starters, hi, everybody. Again, I'm Kayla. I am an inspiring filmmaker, particularly in documentary. But, we don't like to box ourselves in. So we like to say that's where we're starting. And the journey is going to expand into multiple other things. But, currently I attend CSUN as a full-time student with an emphasis in sound design. And I've been knowing my girl here forever, so it's so unreal to see this and sit with my girl and talk about some of our aspirations today. But I'm in filmmaking. I love filmmaking. I feel like I've always loved filmmaking personally because growing up, I felt like that was my outlet to really find myself and really find my voice. And it wasn't until I got in high school I realized, this might be a career path I want to take. I had a really cool teacher by the name of Miss Selke, and I loved her so much, and I loved her class. And when I really started learning the technical aspect from the terminology and the vocabulary and from the production side, post-production, and pre-production, I was like, I was really in love with the entire process of working with like-minded individuals, but even some people that really weren't into film in per se and wanted to just like to create. And when I would see our work unfold from paper to screen, I was like, wow, I really love this. And then in my senior year, I took broadcasting, and which is very similar to filmmaking, but also slightly different. It's still a way of telling stories, but it's a different type of way of telling stories. But it wasn't really until I realized I took a trip before COVID had ended, like officially started, and I realized I wasn't going to be having my senior year that I had hoped for. I took a trip to the Panama.
I remember that.
And that's when everything kind of clicked. It was like when I got to go to the village and talk to the natives of that land, and forget the fact that we didn't understand each other. But it was the fact that we felt the same things. And from that moment on, I was like, I was sealed that those were the stories I wanted to tell. Because personally, I knew how coming in, what the media tells us versus when you're actually there, sitting in that seat. So when I left, like the trip was over, that was the first real trip. I've taken a couple trips, but that was the first real trip where I cried because it was a bittersweet moment because I really enjoyed myself. Not to say I didn't in other previous trips, but this one was just so different. And little did I know it would be my last trip of 2020. Right. It just felt so heavy knowing going home that there was this new virus that nobody knew about. I was leaving so many great things and meeting so many great people. And I knew from that point on, I said, however I can make this dream real,
Yeah.
these are the stories I want to tell. These are the people I want to meet.
I love that. So kind of like there was, you know, one of your moments of realization
Yeah.
there a little bit. I mean, let's get into that, because me and my girl here, you know, we, you know, going to high school together, right?
Yeah.
We spent most of our senior year together. And so we went through a lot of that together, and especially losing, you know, the second half of our senior year,
Yeah.
not getting any of that. And, you know, it gosh, changed so many things.
For real.
You know, I think what's so interesting, and we've talked about this before as well, having all that time at home and everything, and like starting college,
Yeah.
mainly at home, you know, it kind of opened up some new things though. Like I feel
did.
like, you know, for me, getting into all of this, right?
Yes.
And we had just talked about that, you know, for her campus, right? The magazine that I'm working on in school, you know, when we do the big International Women's Day event every year for that, right? And so one of the first years that we came back in person for that, we still couldn't do the in-person event yet for that. We still, I think we're mainly doing the online classes. And so, you know, we had to find a virtual way to do that. And so that's kind of when I started getting into this and the interviewing stuff, right? We had connected with, you know, one of the co-founders of her campus itself. And so I interviewed her. We did the Instagram Live, right? For the Her Campus page. Yeah. And so that was kind of our virtual way of celebrating, right? Even in, you know, in the midst of everything. But it's cool. That was also kind of like, for me, like one of those realization moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. I don't know. So some of those things that kind of came out of
So many weird
all those hard
blessings in
times.
disguise.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, but it's so much fun, and kind of how, you know, our ambitions here and they overlap so much. What's
does.
interesting too, as well, with broadcasting, because that kind of encompasses a little bit of what we're both doing, does it?
Yeah,
Right?
it does.
Okay.
Big time. And it's so weird because I think if you had to talk to a lot of filmmakers in like maybe 5 or 10 years ago, they would not really think of how far it could branch out, like into podcasts through me. I think
radio,
media was always somewhat there, but in certain subcategories.
Yeah.
And seeing how far it's even branched out into like how you can even do a whole docuseries through a podcast, and that's a medium.
Right. Yeah.
It is so cool to see as a filmmaker, because to know that you're in this new era and to see where you can go, it's so rewarding to see that it doesn't only need to be, I say, like the Oscar glam to survive anymore. And not to say that isn't nice, but I think for so long that's how we thought, and that takes, you know, it's already such a long line of people that want to do this, and to get in is so hard. And that was just such the traditional route, to the point, like if you ask any student filmmaker or inspiring filmmaker, or even now, you know, for the longest they've all had that talk with their parent, was like, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so, and that's how they tied it in with the Oscars and the glitz and the glam. And to know that, like, you can now make a decent living and be comfortable without, like, sure, people still want that, but it's like knowing that's not the only way anymore. And that's the coolest thing to think about, because I even think as a senior, it was there, but even from like senior year to our freshman year, it was there, but I don't think we had branched out, even thought that broadly yet until COVID. And even post-COVID. So it's really cool to see how it's just
Gosh, I mean, I'm just learning more too, of just kind of, how many things are in all these industries and how much overlaps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even from a PR extent, it's such a cool fucking thing to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, it's great. I mean, I think just kind of, you know, it also ties into like the importance of these creative pursuits. Yeah. Right. And, you know, I always feel like, you know, there's so many people that kind of don't think much of it, right? No. But it is just so much more important, I think, than people think. And I mean, you know, we're providing this like form of entertainment for people. And I think one of the main things I think that I always take so much from is how much it builds community, right? I mean, you can look at what I'm doing with Her Campus, right? I mean, it's incredible. You know, we're all working towards this magazine. We all kind of have our own, you know, specific areas that we're working on, right? You know, for me, more the social media marketing, right? And then some of the girls who are writing the articles, but like we're all doing that. That's become like our main female community on campus, you know? And so I just think, I mean, that's especially been a great outlet for some of the girls on campus as well.
And you know what's so cool? When you find community like that, It's usually people, like, especially in college, what I've noticed since being in college, sometimes people aren't even in creative majors.
Right.
But they still want to create.
Right.
And somehow bring that back to their major.
Yeah.
Rather it be like they want to pursue biology or be a doctor.
Something in STEM,
it is so cool. And the coolest part about it is they still can create.
Yeah.
They still can create. And
Yeah.
I remember seeing that while I went to SMC before I transferred to CSUN.
Right.
We had a lot of people that were in photography, and a lot of them weren't photography majors or weren't in any aspect of a creative major.
Yeah.
Some literally wanted to pursue biophysics. And I was just like, wow. Wow. And and the stuff they created, it was mind-boggling, but it was so inspiring even to know that some of them I was older than, and to see them create what they were creating, and to even for the professor to say, you guys are better than me. I was blown. My heart was overcome of joy. And I was just so excited. And I remember when that summer semester ended, I was like, guys, I don't know where life's going to take you. But enjoy the ride. Even if this is our last encounterment, and I hope it's not, do know I want nothing but the best for you. And I want you to never give up on those dreams. If you want to create. If you want to do it even as a career or a side hobby, take it seriously. But just know you are willing and capable of doing this shit.
I love that. Yeah.
Because what I've seen is unreal, and don't let anyone tell you differently. Just because you want to be a doctor doesn't mean that's the only thing you have to do from, 7 days out of the week.
Right. Oh, my gosh. I think it's so interesting to talk to people like that as well, that are kind of, more in those STEM-related fields or something, and kind of what they take up on the side in their lives, because it's still, if you're doing something like that, like all the time, and that's kind of your main gig, but like you'd need something that's different and that's creative, because I feel like you can't use that part of your brain all the time, and you sort of have to exercise all the
needs a rest
exactly
sometimes. And I remember even meeting someone that was much older. He was probably the oldest one amongst us. He was a retired doctor. And I remember asking him, I said, dude, you could be doing anything. Right. We all want to sleep right now. And you're up here early, like, please help me understand. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to be honest, man. A lot of us want to retire and, enjoy the fruits of our labor. But when you're there, it is so boring. Like you feel like all of a sudden, like, you went from getting up, starting your 9 to 5, and then you're just like, okay, what do I do now? Right. Like sleep is good. I've slept till like 12, but I want to do something. Right. And he took that class, and he was telling me he was a doctor, and he was telling me, like, I personally have always loved art and consuming art to the point I would buy art. Right. But I remember always, because I grew up in a generation where we were told you can dream, but dreams don't pay the bills. And I was like, so finally being at an age where I'm retired, I feel like I have nothing to lose anymore. And I wish I could go back in time and tell that younger self, you have nothing to lose even right now. Right. Absolutely. And so seeing you guys and seeing, talking to a lot of you guys have given me a lot of fulfillment. I feel younger than what I actually am.
That's incredible.
And talking to him just gave me so much fulfillment and wisdom to the point it's like, if this is what I get to do every day, tell these type of stories for work, and even forget all the accolades. It's so worth it.
That's incredible.
It is so worth it to me, because do you know how many of those stories don't make it onto the screen and land up in the grave? Do you know how sad that is to me? That hurts. Because sometimes the superheroes aren't the ones with the capes. They're the ones that don't get to be heard. And that hurts me the most.
I think, gosh, that's so powerful. I just think, I would always say, even though we're not necessarily performing surgery, but we are performing in a way, and we're providing this type of material and content that can inspire people.
That part.
It's so funny what you said as well, kind of brought up, I had just come across this video on TikTok, and it was so interesting. It was this guy, on the street. They do these like random interviews, like, going up to random people. And so he came across this woman and was just kind of asking, what she's passionate about, like all these different things and what she does for work. I think she was a lawyer, and she kept going on about, he would ask, what's the best part of the job? And she's like, the money, And so they kind of went off, a few things. He asked a few things to her, right? And they kind of went back and forth a bit. And there was one part she had said, like she felt like she didn't have much else. Right, in aside from work, and she had said something, and I think he had asked what advice she would give to whoever was watching or anything like that. Do something that feeds your soul and not your wallet, and that's what she said. Yeah,
that's powerful.
Yeah,
that's there's a lot of philosophy and wisdom in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing if you can find something like that. Obviously, I think what we're doing, it's so much fun, and it, to the point it doesn't feel like work,
Exactly.
And, I mean, we're here at the right time, I think. But
and what better time to do it, right?
No, I know. I mean, it's telling though, like even for people like that, who are kind of just what you were mentioning, going into certain fields almost maybe because they feel like they have to, right? But then they don't have that fulfillment that you're getting at as well. And so even taking up something on the side, like a little passion project or whatever it is, and who knows what it could lead to. I've seen stories online as well, people going to law school, let's say, and then they kind of I would see some creators like on social media, and they kept going with the social media stuff and creating content and kind of building a following there. I remember this one guy, and he would post all about his law school stuff, right? And his like routines and everything. And he like completely stopped that. Like, I think like I'm pretty sure if I can remember, like he finished school, but then he was like completely, dedicated to all the social media stuff and then committed to that. But it's so interesting. There's so many things like that. And I think coming from somebody like that, what I would see a lot is that, they don't expect for that to become a big thing or for them to like build a following and end up continue pursuing that, but it's so powerful.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing though with creative industries, I think it can be a challenge to get inspired sometimes, right? As we know. I mean, I think as we like to call it, creative's block. Yeah. Maybe, right? That's usually what I say. So I wanted to ask you, my girl, how do you get inspired in your daily life, and even when you don't feel motivated? I mean, what are some things that you do to get your creative juices flowing?
There's so many things. Sometimes I really try to detach my ego. Okay. I really do. Yeah. And sometimes a way of doing that is meditating, but also not just feeding my ego and pride in a way of like making it all about me. Yeah. Sometimes I really do try to get out of my bubble and my box. And if you know me, you know how hard that is, because to a certain degree, people get on my nerves. So sometimes that means really just going to the beach and reading a book and then just looking out into the ocean and people watching. And sometimes it's literally as simple as going to a coffee shop and just drinking my coffee, being in the midst of the chaos of the people, of the, people like, oh, where's my frappuccino, cappuccino, and all these things, and they're yelling. It's like, you just ordered the damn thing. Like, wait a sec. Just have some patience, please.
Must be a sight to see.
It is. And, at some point, I feel like that is my chance to then go, like, try at least to distract them from something else, even though like they might be in a hurry, or they've literally just cussed out the person over a damn cappuccino. Right. And I'm like, hey, so like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, and usually it starts off like, oh, I ordered it. I'm like, okay, we all heard you, don't worry. And it's like, but it's stuff like that, talking to people with real day-to-day lives, real people that, work hard and have come here for different things. Some people I even just with the American dream, and other times it's literally sometimes basking in Mother Nature's presence.
I love that.
And it's so hard. And the reason why I do it sometimes is because this industry requires fucking patience that is unreal. And I don't mean like your standard like just give it like 2 seconds. I mean like some real patience that screws with your mental. Because you could be doing something and you've done every last thing And it's still like, damn, when's it my turn?
Sure.
And it's like, and it's not to say other people aren't working hard around you, but it can be so discouraging. So that's why I really do try to detach my ego out of it sometimes.
Yeah, that's
because it lets me focus somewhere else.
Okay.
That isn't all about me, because it's still in a way to know that like I'm doing what I love. Yeah. But I'm seeing it in a smaller impact, which sometimes narrows me back to focus on, why are you really doing this? Yeah. I don't want to just know the passion, but why are you doing this? Right. What do you want out of this other than
like bigger picture a little bit? Trying,
so with that ego detaching, it really helps me to hone in on how to be not only a better person in real life, but show up as a better storyteller for those people that don't have outlets. Yeah. Because in order to be a documentarian, it requires a lot of trust. And in order for that interviewee to trust you, you have to check yourself. You can't just be like, oh, I want to scope into you and then just hope you give me everything. Right. It's not just signing a paper and trusting me with your life. It's like, no, really, I'm here as even a part of this. It's like, I'm not trying to take up the space with you, but I'm here to tell you, like, we're in this together. Like, my life is just as much as on the line as yours.
I think it's hard too when, you know, it can be when you are in an industry, even if it's not so heavy on some other things, but you maybe certain fields, but when it does require you to kind of have this constant creativity, like that can be hard too.
It is.
You know, and I think a little bit more than some people might realize. And so I think just exactly like you said, you know, kind of getting out of your head, because even, you know, we've talked about this as well, like even doing something we love, like we can still develop a type of burnout from that, you know, and so I think just getting out of your head. I mean, I love that. You know, that's what we do all the time
together. Hiking,
you know, and
exercising, so many things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me too, it's always been just like people as well. I think my friends too. That's such a huge, like, my friends inspire me.
I love
you know
that.
all the time, and just even like a simple, you know, call up one of my good friends or something. You know, if I'm kind of, I don't know, in a rut almost, or maybe in a sort of creative rut or something. You know, and just getting out and, like you said, focusing on the little moments and the people watching and the things like that.
It's such a cool thing to see, like, in real time. Yeah. And sometimes what I've always told people that are creating is, like, especially if you're behind a camera, rather it's photography, videography, or filmmaking. Right. At some point, you gotta hop back in front. And what you realize is that some things really can't be captured in a video or in a film.
Oh, that's so true.
And what we call that in film, and sometimes you do get it on film, but we call those happy accidents. And those happy accidents are the best when they happen, because you can't redo them. It's usually something you're not expecting. And I say that is really the heart. And sometimes as I've gotten into sound design, I've realized sometimes, as the oldest debate in Hollywood is with sound or without sound. And it still continues on to this day. I notice sometimes when you remove sound, you feel the heartbeat more from that person. Okay. And you feel, even with no music, no anything, like a baby crying, to not hear that, you feel it. And it's such a magical thing to see. And I had the great opportunity of seeing it for myself in a past project I did this past spring. And then at the same time, seeing it as someone that was PAing instead of being in the seat of asking as the interviewer. It was such a cool thing to see, because there was a moment in that, like, whole shoot where the lady we were interviewing, she literally we kept rolling and nobody was saying anything. And she stopped talking and she just, all you could hear was like weeps and her heart like just outpouring. But there was this beautiful vibrancy coming out of her face. And it was almost so unreal that our professor, the main person leading the shoot, was like, shut up. Don't say anything. Don't even ask a question. And we didn't even hand her tissue. She just got the tissue herself. And she was like, you don't know what this means to me. I know this is only, I know it's going to be edited down, and I know it's going to be this, and I know it's going to be that. But as a person of color, with parents that originated from Haiti and South Africa, and to get to share this they have passed on to now
Yeah.
get to share their story.
Yeah.
You don't know what that means to
Yeah.
me. You don't know what that means right now, because my mother is speaking from my soul, because she has gone through so much, and to know that she gets to finally say it through her daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that means everything. And all I could think is, when we got in post, how can we exemplify that same outpour of emotion that we witness with or without sound.
Okay.
And I remember our sound guy was like, get out of the room.
Yeah.
Everyone out. And I was like, wait, but I want to see this. He was like, shut up, Kayla, go. Just go. Leave. And I was like, all right, thanks. And I remember when we came back, he was like, I'm done.
Okay.
And it was like literally 30 minutes later. I thought it was going to take like an hour or so. And he was like, we were watching the footage, and we were like, that's it.
Yeah.
He removed the sound of her cries. But the way you felt it, my body had chills. And that's just what I mean by ego detaching, because we were all ready to spit our game. And it was like, everyone fucking out. And it was just like the coolest thing, because sometimes it's like, that's when I really realized sometimes less is more.
Right. That's so
that's
true.
what you get out of ego detaching sometimes.
Okay. Wow.
And it was so cool
Very
to see in real time.
That's incredible, man. Yeah.
It was
just
so cool.
Capturing those full, raw,
moments.
And real, kind of candid, moments. I love that. And I mean, recently too, I kind of started getting into more of the, my little reels, as you know, my little social media reels. And, I mean, gosh, I love that. Those are so fun for me. And I think, what did I tell you that, when I usually have more time on my hands, I've become like a part-time content creator.
Yes, I love it.
To be honest. Yeah. And it's just kind of what I've been doing with those, they've all been slightly different, but a lot of it's kind of, like a day in the life or something, let's say, sometimes with different themes, whatever I'm doing. And, I don't know, it's fun for me, and I just kind of putting these little clips together because it is a story. It is. And so, something else that we get into quite a bit as well is sort of how that overlaps and relates to your industry, because it is a form of that. I mean, of course, it's a form of storytelling, right? That's and everything, but it's like a mini film. It is a little mini movie,
in
right?
Like 30 seconds, which is so hard.
Exactly. Right.
You don't know how hard it is until you try that shit out for yourself, and then you start like ripping out your head, and you're just like, oh because my god. You got it. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of the times it's funny. I'll think of, if I know a certain day, whatever I'm doing, and I want to, kind of get make a little reel of that day, and I will think of the kinds of clips that I want to shoot before usually. So I remember I had like a little solo date one, and just kind of all the little steps of like sort of me getting ready and then going and then getting, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. And so sometimes it's fun to just like get my brain going, and then that's sort of that creative part, and think of the little clips I want to get, and you put it together, and then of course song choices is everything. That's everything. The hardest.
It makes a whole,
it's everything,
no, really.
though, but it's the hardest.
Oh God, so many times, and I'm putting the clips together, and I need to find the perfect song,
right?
That matches the vibe, everything. You know what I mean?
For real.
And then I got, and started to get into some of the other ones. Right, we did a whole little reel, kind of like a collage of our holiday that we spent together, of the 4th, and with some of our good friends. Yeah, and so also that is just kind of capturing all those little candid moments that I love. You guys just like dancing, you know what I mean? And I love just having that in there. And it was, I know we had rewatched that so many times, and I love making that. And because I think looking back at that too, it's so fun to like a month later, some weeks after that, and you look back and you can kind of feel all of those feelings again a little bit. I mean, I know we always say too that, a lot of that sometimes in the pictures and the videos, it can't capture, everything. But I think with something like that, and you can kind of, feel some of that. Those
special moments.
Yeah.
That sometimes you wish you could just freeze frame the frame and stay in it a bit longer, but it's got to end so you can journey forward and get the next big opportunity.
Absolutely.
And it sucks sometimes when it's really good, but it's like, fine.
But I think that just kind of goes along with like, anybody can create those moments for themselves.
So true.
I think just kind of by romanticizing, and I love that phrase and that word, romanticizing your life just like a little bit more, and I love that, and kind of really making these little moments meaningful, because you have the power to do that.
You do. And some people, what it's funny because that you say romanticizing. 'Cause
Yeah.
some people say like, oh God, like you romanticize your life, and
Some people, do say it in a negative
and they say it in a negative
connotation.
way,
Yeah.
and I understand where they're coming from, but it's like, why do we have to be like so in real time all the time?
Right.
There's already so
Yeah.
when you step away from whatever you're doing, you're gonna get the negativity and the chaos anyway.
Right.
So why can't you romanticize it a little bit?
Yeah.
To ease your mind, to ease you
Yeah.
and living in this world, because
Absolutely.
doing life is not easy.
Right.
So if you can romanticize it a little bit, who's it hurting?
Right.
What's the
Right.
crime?
Exactly.
Let people be. And
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
tell people that. It's like, okay, if you want to be like a negative Nancy,
Yeah.
damn it, go do that. But why do
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
destroy everyone else and be like, it's only I get that. It's only an illusion
Right.
and da da da
Right.
da da.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't understand. Some people,
Yeah.
just like how some people need antidepressants
Yeah.
to calm their depressing and negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Some people need that as relaxation.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like, don't always just
Right.
come in with your it's
Right.
not needed.
Right.
It's not. If
Right.
you want to go do that, be my guest, but
Yeah.
don't come stomping in on
there's
everybody else.
There's enough of that in the world
Yeah.
already. You gotta find the beauty in the little moments.
Yeah.
And in the small moments.
And don't get me wrong, there is balance to everything, but you don't
yeah.
gotta
Oh,
like
yeah.
just shit on everything.
Right. Yeah.
There's enough of that.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So what would you say, what would you recommend to people who don't necessarily know how to do that, or just to encourage people on how to embrace those small things and find the beauty in the little things?
Honestly, nature, man.
Okay.
I truly believe nature is our best friend when we like let go of like all like the flies, the bees, and things
Like
like
me.
let go. They're
Right,
they're more scared of you than you are them.
Probably gonna bring my bug spray.
Yeah, like bring the bug spray and call it a day. But like other than that, like really get into it, because I know it's so hard, but it's in a weird way when you let go and just let nature. It shows you the most beautiful things that sometimes you already knew or unexpectedly didn't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the best way. And also just sometimes get off your phone.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
that's such a
turn
big
it
one.
off. Turn the shit off. In
Yeah.
fact, go on a 30-day hiatus, please.
Oh my gosh.
Do a 30-day
cleanse.
hiatus
Yes.
phone cleanse.
You can speak to
And
that.
For real.
So,
like
yes.
I believe in it so heavily, because
I don't know how you
the
do it.
way you come back, oh my God, you almost like, you do realize how you need your phone, but at the same time, you don't want it anymore.
Right.
There's times
could
I'm just
imagine.
like, I want to chuck it in the ocean and I don't want to see it ever again.
Oh my god.
Genuinely, on some Kim K shit, chuck it in the ocean, but I don't have the money like her. But it's just like genuinely do that.
Right.
Because what you'll realize is like sometimes we are our own stressors.
Yeah.
We are.
Oh,
and
gosh.
that feeds into our creative blocks.
Yeah.
It really
so
does.
true.
Because
Yeah.
some things it's like you do realize you could create, but you're your own stressor right now.
Yeah. Just getting too in your head.
You're getting in your way of
That's
your
so
own
true.
creativity,
Yeah.
your own opportunities.
Yeah, man.
So many things. You're so worried about this and that and this other person, how you wish. Stop wishing and appreciate what you have right now. Recognize what you have right now and make the most out of that.
Yeah.
Stop worrying.
Yep.
Stop looking left, right, middle of you. Just literally, and how you can do that is nature and a phone cleanse.
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm not even saying, if 30 days is too hard for you, try 7.
Yeah.
That's beginner.
Yeah.
Do that shit.
Absolutely. Man, it's, for me, and people like me, I mean, it's hard because that's kind of our jobs almost, so, but I think what I see too, and I mean, of course, because there's so many content creators and social media people and that work in that, so obviously it's slightly different, right, for us, but I think finding that balance, man, because
that
it's
word
kind of,
balance again, guys.
Oh yeah, I know.
Such the key thing
What's
here.
so different with that, because we use it, obviously a lot for personal reasons, right? And I think, when it kind of also becomes your job, like it's sort of hard to distinguish between the two and sort of separate them. So it's sometimes can be harder in that field to find that work-life balance.
And I completely understand.
And so but it's definitely, so I love what you're saying, things about like nature, like that is such a good way just to kind of maybe get out of technology even for a little bit.
Even if it's like, I always say even helping, like volunteering, giving your time to someone else.
Yeah.
That's another way of, feeding the creative block that you have, because you're taking time away from you and yourself, give it back to someone else, and you'll really see how it helps with not only help you romanticize your life in a good way and in a positive way, in a healthy way, but also within that creative block, because it really does change everything. And I understand those words, like for people that is their job. Social media is their job. But at the same time, if it's becoming to the point where you start comparing everything around you, and I get sometimes it is very hard because that's your industry. Yeah. You're supposed to keep up with the trends like this. And I understand that, but it's like not to the point where it's like every little thing. That's where it becomes, okay, I think it's time for you to step back because it's no longer creative. It's no longer, and when it's not creative and fun anymore, then you're not going to give the best content.
Exactly.
So it's just like at this point, and your audience is going to see that. They're going to see that you're forcing it, you're pretending, you're faking, and nobody wants phony because we live in a world of phony.
And again, we get enough of that.
We get enough of that. That's daily life. If we want that, and it goes back to like illusion in a sense, but a healthy balance to everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it can be hard too, just to continue to feel inspired like that, especially, when we're worrying about the future and things like that, and sort of just uncertainty. I think that also can kind of feed into the ruts and some of that block, and wanting things to all be perfect. But I think a lot of the times those imperfections and the little flaws that can lead to more inspiration.
They can
almost sometimes, you know what I mean? And again, like we said too, just kind of looking at the bigger picture and embracing the little things. And for me, I always like to say, and what people tell me too, like focusing on the people that make me feel good and things that make me feel good, right? And that's why it is, gosh, I can't even stress the importance about having these little creative outlets in your life, because that, and you can get more inspired and figure out what inspires you by just kind of exploring all these different things. That's what I love to do, and I mean, I love it, man. It's incredibly impactful.
You asked me, so let me ask you now.
Please.
What inspires you? Now I know you personally, but you tell the people that don't know.
I love that. Okay. Oh my gosh, flipping the roles here.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
My turn. You're the interviewee now.
This is my co-host here, everybody. So, gosh, no. It's a fantastic question. Well, like I said earlier, a little bit, kind of going off of that, I think people, most of the time I feel like, one of the main things I would say that comes to mind is people inspire me, and especially my friends, like I said. I think.
What about your friends in particular? Because, sometimes it's, certain friends have a way of being inspiring in different ways. Right. Like you go to that one for that fun.
Exactly.
What in particular?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. I mean, again, all my friends are so different, and I think what's really fun though about most of my friends is, kind of talking about what we're doing and what we're getting into. So I'll even just be talking about, the things I got coming up, whatever I'm doing with the podcasting or things like that, and just based on their responses and kind of what, the feedback they're given and things like that. Because sometimes they'll be like, oh, this is like a great idea. You can even think about doing it like this or this, and they all sort of have different ideas,
I love that.
And I mean, it's just, I think also when I'm talking to one of my close friends on the phone about whatever it is, right, about whatever each of us are doing, just kind of seeing them also get excited, like for me and what I'm doing, like that's it makes me more excited, because especially sometimes if feeling a little down or a little stressed about things that are coming up, right, and I just I got some friends in particular, I know I call them up just like you, and you're like, it'd be like, that's amazing, that's so exciting, and that just helps. I don't know. I mean, of course, you know, I've got so many creative other things that I do, and in music, for example, you know, we had a whole episode about that. Yeah. But just kind of all those things, it you know, it helps, because even with stuff like that, I get maybe like musician's block almost, or you know what I mean, or something like that. And so even with things like that, you know, it's just trying to find ways to get out of your head and branch out, to feel inspired, you know, because even with stuff like that, you know, like writing a new song or something, I mean, it's hard to get started on that. And I think thinking about that too, like some of the recent pieces that I've written or something, it's been like different situations that I kind of been in, whenever it's like jamming with friends, let's say, and talking in a music sense. And like just being around other people or being in a different setting or environment, that seems to bring like new stuff or new kind of ideas musically or whatever else it is. And I just, that's what inspires me. I think just being around different people. Or
is there anything like in particular, because I know we have like, not all our friends are in like the creative background scene. Some of them just like to create on the side. Yeah. So is there like anything in particular that stands out from like an outsider that isn't in this industry or isn't trying to pursue this industry that gives you a different outtake or intake on how to create based on like what they say? Because sometimes I've noticed sometimes the most inspiring or most helpful tips usually come from people that aren't in my industry.
Okay.
And not to say that people in our industry can't be helpful, but sometimes you notice it gets kind of dry. It starts to becomes the like same thing, or like good luck in a sense that it's like not kind of nice almost. It's like it's nice, but it's a little too
So, no, that's such a great point.
You know, I'm curious because sometimes the people that have the most to say are usually the ones that aren't in our field.
No, I've even seen that too. And it's kind of like, because I think when you were talking about something that we're doing in the creative industry to somebody who's not necessarily in that, they have such a different, almost like a simpler take on things because it's, you know, they don't know all the specifics and all the little kind of technical things. And so, you know, when they hear about like an idea, let's say, of something to do, and it's like almost like refreshing, you know, and it's so good to kind of talk to other different people. And what's so interesting, and like I mentioned too, you know, we get a lot of girls in her campus, which I find so interesting, that are not like a lot of the times, you know, like myself, right, are either comm majors or marketing or something related to that, right? But we have gotten a lot of STEM girls. Wow. You know, and but because it is, you know, like their creative outlet, because they're doing all the other, you know, sciencey math stuff, like you know, most of their time, and so it's kind of the, you know, with her campus, it's kind of a little break for them, but they are so good at what they're doing with her campus as well. And so I find it so interesting.
Isn't that fascinating though?
Yeah, because I think like, I feel like a lot of the times, maybe it's just less common that, you know, you find somebody who's kind of good at both kinds of things, right?
Exactly.
Like the more technical side and the more creative side, right? Because for me, you know, and you too, like we're all like creative, like because we don't do that science and the right, and, like all the that kind of stuff with numbers, right? So, but so that's why it's so interesting, and I think that's what I would have to say. It's refreshing to kind of hear the different perspectives, and again, especially from people who are doing the more STEM related stuff, but are also simultaneously kind of doing the creative stuff, and with me and her campus, and so they bring so many different and unique things to our magazine. And so I don't know, everybody is just so different.
I love that.
And so and
even I guess now it's like, my next question would be like, what do you get from those outsiders? Even like as someone that's also in pursuing a creative industry,
right?
How has your parents responded to that? Like, what is, you know, like the give and take balance to the point? Because sometimes as filmmakers, we hear like I said, how is this going to pay the bills? What is your parents' response? Because I'm so curious, you know, because like sometimes friends are like, you know, they say one thing and then like, you find the middle ground between like the parents, the friends, and then back to you. And
also with society as well. I mean, there's so many like the influencing factors that they kind of, you know, and opinions of everybody. No, that's such a fantastic topic. And I want to know like how
you deal with that, because it can be also so strenuous to the creative block.
Sure. Oh man, this could be an episode in itself. So we might have to maybe split this into two. No, but no, I mean, I am so lucky. You know, my parents are so encouraging about what I'm doing. And you know, they love it. I mean, what they always say is that we were just born at the right time, because especially what I'm doing, like this, we are in the prime of our generation to be doing this stuff in social media and just kind of how media has evolved in general. And, you know, especially with my mom, it's so fun because she's a creative as well, right? And she's an artist. And so what's so much fun as we can kind of collaborate on some of the things we're doing. And like, I always share all the creative stuff I'm doing with her, and then she gives me ideas. So it's like we can work together on it. And she always says, she'll probably listen to this after, that we're such a good creative team, and we are though, but it's nice to have that, and I know, like, I have a good friend who is also part of exec in her campus, and she used to be a comm major. It's her minor now, but she went into STEM because actually she has several sisters, her whole family, and her parents too. They're all doctors, and they're all going into, like medicine and stuff like that. And so she kept the minor, right? But she also came in to her campus at the same time as me. And just what's so like, she was the only one for a while when she was still a comm major, kind of, that wasn't doing what the rest of her family was doing, right? So now she has a little bit of both, right?
I love it.
But it's definitely, it's interesting to see that, and just kind of the family dynamics and the different opinions, and whichever industries you're going into. But it's great. I feel very blessed to be in that position. And of course, they're not, that pushy about that either, about like, about making money necessarily, and a certain job might not make as, but again, I think we're on the same page about like what I said, like doing work that you love. I love that. I mean, we are in a good position that we are able to explore that and not have to worry as much about that, especially right now.
I know.
And I mean, I'm just that's all I'm focused on. I'm focused on finding all the things that I enjoy and have a good time with it.
I
and
love
so
that.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of what you found so far. I'm so proud of you, my girl.
You're so sweet. Oh my gosh. Me and my girl.
Forever and always. You know it.
Just taking over the freaking world, man.
Damn right. And they're not ready. Not ready at all.
No, they ain't.
I feel bad for them.
Oh, man. Well, we're coming in hot.
Really?
That's for sure. Oh, my gosh. All right, well, I feel like that's a perfect way to end.
Right?
A perfect way to wrap up. So I want to thank you all for listening to this very special episode and in celebrating the start of our in-house Sapphire Sessions, of course. And I can't wait for more to come, and just, to get more content out for you all. Of course, I want to thank my best friend over
thanks
here,
for having
Miss
me,
Kayla
man.
K. Oh, of course, for being on
Feel
today.
honored.
And just, for getting real and getting inspired with me here today.
Always the best with my girl.
Always. Oh, so yes, you guys will all certainly be hearing and seeing more of her on here. So definitely
Look
be
forward
sure
to hearing from some of you guys.
Oh, yeah. So be sure to look out for more episodes with my girl over here. And any last comments, my girl, for our listeners?
Last comments. Go for it. Let go.
I love that.
And just be in the present, man. It's such a gift to be in the present when you realize how so many others don't get that.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you'll thrive beyond measures in sometimes in the least expected ways you had hoped.
Yeah.
So just trust you and trust the process and let go. Let go. I know it's hard, but genuinely let go.
I love that. Hell yeah. All right. Well, you guys heard it here. So we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Sapphire Sessions podcast, a production brought to you by the CLU podcasting class. If you have any ideas of more things you'd like to hear Nico talk about, or people you'd like her to bring on, be sure to check out our Instagram page at nico.sapphire and feel free to reach out. Anything is welcome. We'll see you next time.